Kia ora, welcome back again from my garden to yours. There's been quite a bit of interest in a video that I posted about growing avocado trees in Dunedin. So I thought, well, it's not as easy as putting them in the ground, and I'm saying they absolutely will grow. This is where I have chosen to plant my avocados. They're underneath their winter tent there. My other subtropicals that I grow really with reasonable success are these tamarillos. So I've got a few tamarillos there. So really the question is, you know, when you're deciding where you're going to plant these trees, you have to know your garden. So I thought today it might be worthwhile just going and looking at a few possible sites and discussing the advantages and the disadvantages of each. So this particular site where I ended up planting these avocados, I'll just climb down here, is on a raised vegetable plot. So I ended up putting them in this middle block, and I'll share some of the reasons for that so you can think about your own plot and what would work. So the reason I chose here is that I knew that the hedge on the far side would give it really good protection. I knew that the structures of the glass houses would give some protection up over the top there. And so this is, I know, to be a reasonably sheltered alcove. There's not much comes through here in terms of frost, anything like that would cause any concern for these trees. Now, when you're planting, as with any tree, there are two things you need to consider, and that is the soil condition and also the surrounding prevailing weathers. So the soil condition here is reasonable. It was very free draining. I knew that because we've had all of this soil taken out. As you can see, there's new battens on the front there. We've taken all that soil out, and I've composted right through the middle, new soil laden, and then we've got the mulch or the bark on the top. So I knew that it's free draining, rich in humus with the compost, and it's also got the mulch to keep the roots cool and hold the moisture in. These subtropicals they grow in areas that have high, very rich soils, surface composting happening a lot, and they are fairly shallow rooted, these trees. That's why these trees particularly need protection from prevailing winds. That's why when you plant an avocado tree, and usually the recommendation with tamarillos as well, is keep them low, keep them protected from the prevailing winds. It's really important. So I knew the soil here was good, but many people, I notice, try and plant these trees in places where the soil condition is less conducive. So I thought, let's have a look over here. So I've got a garden area here that I've successfully planted some apple trees into, but I know that through here it can get a bit boggy at times. So if I was deciding that I was going to plant something in the lawn here, there could be an issue with the soil condition. The problem with the soil condition here is that I know it's quite heavy in clay. There is, even if I cleared the area of grass, to aerate this sufficiently is going to take a lot of work. Could do it, a lot of work. And the other thing about soil condition is if you know your garden well, you know what's going to grow there. So when I first arrived here, I was optimistic, I was ever hopeful. I thought that I could plant a persimmon tree in here. So I thought, no, these branches will give it frost protection. It's a reasonably rich soil area, and so I planted it in there, ever hopeful. But in fact, as I've learnt over time, this is in such a water drought area that The canopy takes a lot of the moisture out. So in fact, this area of garden is very dry. So I would need to be watering year round in here if I was going to keep this canopy. If I remove the canopy, which I'm not going to do because I love having the Nio in here, it's, you know, it's just not going to happen. So you have to know your garden. So that was one of my disasters. Another corner of the garden that is a bit difficult is around here. Now this gets a lot of moisture through here, and you know, we all know that hydrangeas and that type of thing grow really well in a high moisture area. And so then when I planted this maple in here, it was before I'd fully equated just how wet it was in here. And then I got concerned it wasn't going to survive, but fortunately it has survived. But I could not put in here, due to the soil condition, I could not put in here my semi-tropicals. I couldn't put my avocados in here, and I couldn't put Tamarillo in here. They just wouldn't enjoy it. So soil condition is one reason I couldn't put them there. And like just down below here, soil condition is one reason. But remember those prevailing weather conditions. So you might look at this site and think, if the soil was great, that being up against the fence here would be good. But in fact, due to the growth on the far side there, it's just not going to get enough sun. So know your soil condition, know your prevailing weather patterns, and then you will go well. I can't pass my fig trees without commenting. So although I'm experimenting with things like avocados and tamarillos, these, you know, warm weather condition type trees, I do have a rather sad looking fig tree here that needs to be fully cleared out. So let's see if I can show it to you. It's got some grass that's really got away this season. It's looking very sad. Sharing my full sadness with you. There you go. So there's a fig tree. It's kind of surviving. But the trouble with figs is they have to ripen on the tree. You can't take them off. So now we're getting the date today. Yeah, so it's about the 10th or 11th of May. And so we just really haven't got enough sun left in our season to see these ripen at all. So I don't know that we can succeed with figs in Dunedin down where we are without putting them in the glass house. So have a look at your soil condition, have a look at your prevailing weather patterns, and honestly, if you've just moved into a place, it's really worthwhile making sure through one season that what the weather patterns are like before you get into an expensive planting program. So just one last look into my tent here. Here's my tent with my avocado trees in a location that I'm really happy with. I know that the weather conditions are such that they're going to do really well. And my tamarillos, as I say, we've had these in since we pretty much first arrived. Really healthy trees, good growth every season, and great fruit. So, you know, really happy with those. So yeah, have a look at those two things, and if you can sort those two things out, then your trees will be successful. I would really encourage you to comment or subscribe below if you have any questions or comments. Let me know where you're growing these trees successfully. It'd be great to hear. And subscribe if you want to hear of any more uploads that I'm doing, answering questions as people think of them about the trees that I'm growing in Dunedin. So from my garden to yours. Bye.